I thought about this, doing something like this about a year and a half ago, and I wasn't really in a position health-wise to really get anything rolling or really tackle any projects at the time. But as we started getting announcements for our 10-year reunion, I was thinking maybe that's the weekend. Maybe we should do something then when more people are in town, and it could be at least, I don't know, just something that more of our class could be a part of, because I know everybody who knew Corey remembers the day that we found out that he had taken his life. And I do have Kleenex. Not enough for everybody, sorry. It was a really tough day for a lot of us. I think a lot of us felt a guilty heart. I did. And I want this tree to serve as a reminder. I wrote it down. I have no memory right now. All right. It is the hope that this tree will serve as a reminder that each of us has the power to make a difference in someone else's life, that we must not pass up an opportunity to offer a kind word or smile, and that each of us matters. I think first we have, is it Bunny? Dana's going to say a few words.
Thank you, Justine. I was honored to be asked to speak today. On October 2nd, for the past 44 years, Wichita State University pauses and remembers the 31 football players and coaches and family members who died in that tragic plane crash in Colorado. And that is just kind of one example of, I think, of the monuments and memorials that we have around our country. They've built a beautiful monument, and I think it just shows how important as a culture remembering and monuments are to us. From the Civil War to the crosses that you see sometimes on the side of the road to the 9/11 Memorial, which I had the opportunity to visit last week, it really proves how significant they are. They reflect the human experience, and they offer us a moment to focus our memory. The dedication of a tree for Corey seems particularly appropriate for me. It's because the tree is alive. It experiences the different seasons. It blooms in the spring. It flourishes in the summer. It bursts with the final beauty of fall, and it hangs on through those frozen days of winter, living for spring. And I think that is certainly appropriate for Corey's life, and frankly for all of our lives. We talk a lot around Collegiate about what it takes to live a good life, and it's clear to me, even especially I think the older I get, that Corey's life was a very good one, because his life touched and taught so many of us. Through him, I think we become better people. And isn't that the best legacy any of us can possibly hope to leave? I distinctly remember the shock and the upset in the class of 2004, the day we learned of Corey's death. And I know the soul searching that was done on the part of so very many of you on what I could have done perhaps to make Corey's life a little bit better. But there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that we all became kinder, we became wiser, and we became more loving because of Corey's life and because of his death. An example of this is the fact that it was you, his peers, who thought of the idea to dedicate a tree in his memory, and what a lovely and appropriate gesture that is. I can't help but think that Corey is somewhere, somehow, engaged with some Star Trek characters right now, and he is looking down on us, and he is smiling because you remember him, you accept him, and you honor him today.
Corey really loved this place, the Quad. It was it wasn't the classroom, it wasn't the hallways, it wasn't even recess, it was a place where he could come and where the little kids were, where he was happy. I think we can all remember him smiling here, and the picture on the front of the program that Betsy made is him here on picnic day. I think that's so fitting, and Gino sort of mentioned that to me, that picnic day was probably the happiest day of the year for Corey. He liked it when he had a big buddy, and he liked it when he had a little buddy. I feel like the same thing's sort of true for the Ice Cream Social. He always greeted us with such a coming back to school smile at the Ice Cream Social. It was always so full of hope. And so this place is a place where we know that Corey experienced joy and where he smiled big. Within a school, we hold the memories of your childhoods. So those of you who graduate and leave, you take your childhoods with you, but they get pushed deeper and deeper inside as you go along through life. But we still think about you that way. We think about you as those little kids and as those middle school kids. And when you come back and you're lawyers and oilmen and teachers and other things, we're just shocked that you're not still these wonderful little children that we treasured so much. Corey's teachers have really deep, bright memories of him. Every one of the teachers that I talked to about Corey said, I remember him every day. I remember him with such love. And I think part of the reason for that is he sought us out to be his friends. And in a different way than other students do, he opened himself up to us and shared himself with us. And so we have even more memories maybe of Corey as a child. And I think it's part of the reason he did that was because the teachers really got him. They understood his humor and his pointed observations, and they gave him appropriate feedback for those instead of turning and walking away. And he let us in. He let us in. So I want to share a little bit, a few of the glimpses of Corey as a boy and as a child that we remember and that we hold in our hearts. Corey's first collegiate teacher, Jean Oser, was the first one to notice what we would all eventually see, which was Corey was a very sensitive boy with a tender, tender heart and a sweet smile. Kathy Wagner, his lower school PE teacher, mentioned his spontaneity as one of the things about him she loved. Corey would happen into the gym when Kathy was teaching to say hello often. And one day he came through as a middle schooler on his way to drama class, and Kathy and the early childhood students were in the middle of the annual Pancake Day race. And Corey asked if he could join in, so she agreed. He dressed up in the apron and the scarf and got the skillet and the pancake, and he competed in the race with the little children, and they of course laughed right along with him that he wanted to do that. Dave Hawley shared that Corey's innate politeness really stood out in the midst of middle schoolers, and that he was always so willing to please. James Lewis recalled that many times a day Corey would find his way into the Black Box Theater and just want to sit there and sometimes talk and sometimes just hang out. Devin Rothwell remembers being so impressed by the maturity of his Corey, the 7th grader, and considered him an old soul. And Chris Shope-Dunce recalled treasuring the day when she went to Corey's house with her dog so that they could meet Corey's dog and go for a walk together. She, like many others, holds on to the image of Corey walking down the hall with tousled hair and baggy pants and untucked shirt, and of course his smile. That image is expanded upon by Kathy Overman, who adds to the picture, Corey had twinkling eyes, a beautiful shy smile, and cute freckles splashed all over his nose. And the pictures in the brochure certainly remind us of that. Mrs. Ackerman also remembered the sweet relationship Corey had with his sister Lindsay, which isn't always true among siblings. When Kathy and Corey talked, Corey drew the most amazing, fantastical pictures of things he would like to develop or create someday. And the back of the brochure shows just that kind of drawing that Corey did. Corey's 8th grade English teacher, Barbara Stokely, still thinks about how curious he was, wanting to talk about the events encountered in the books they read, loving the words and play on words that they discussed in literature class. He was, she said, incredibly persistent in questioning and teasing and very caring. Her memory captures Corey in class. She says, when I looked at Corey across the classroom, He invariably gave me a smile that suggested we were sharing some inside joke, and wasn't that fun? And Diana Nixon, Corey's 8th grade ancient history teacher, notes the same curiosity. Corey would stop in her room daily to ask in-depth questions or to share something he had just read or learned about. She said, Corey seemed to enjoy traveling to that other world, which is the past. Jan McAtee Nicodemus remembered this boy with fondness, this loyal student and fast friend, as one who made unusually close connections with his teachers. We were all drawn to that warm spirit. My last conversation with Corey was at Zubilee. He appeared at my side and grabbed me in this huge hug. He was all smiles and told me how much he loved his new school. I left that event feeling so happy and so pleased that Corey had found me and showered me with love and hope. Hearing the news of his death just days later was one of the saddest moments of my life. Martha Vashti Pearson's poem, Something Beautiful Remains, really spoke to me this morning. The tide recedes, but leaves behind bright seashells on the sand. The sun goes down, but gentle warmth still lingers on the land. The music stopped, and yet it lingers on in sweet refrain. For every joy that passes, something beautiful remains. All of us here this morning were touched by the life and the death of Corey. In fact, we were transformed by it. There was a beauty and a promise in Corey that was not fully realized when he was here. In this place, Corey felt safe and free. This is the place where Corey smiled, and we have come together here to celebrate Corey and to embrace how he forever changed us. To claim the something beautiful that remains of Corey within our hearts. I'm so pleased to be here today with each of you in this place, in this precious and sacred moment. I'm so touched and honored to have Corey's mother and sister here today. And I'm so blessed to have known and loved Corey. We are so lucky to have Betsy here to share with us.
Not notes, because I don't know how one. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Justine and Lisa for coordinating and getting all of this tree done, and for just the thoughtfulness that you each have had in doing something that in memory of Corey. I had lunch with Bunny the other day, and I was just crying halfway through lunch because one of the things that touched me was it was so special to me to talk about Corey with someone who actually knew him. Because after we moved away from here, we met new people. We've had new experiences. But if I were talking to someone about Corey, there was a kind, look on that person's face, but not a real understanding of who I was talking about. And so to be able to share stories with Bunny and to be able to share this moment with you all who knew him, who got him, who understood him, is a blessing. And we all carry Corey in our hearts. I've heard so many already today, just descriptions of him, of his gentleness and his compassion and his humor, and his sarcasm and all of those things that make Corey uniquely Corey. And he still lives on in my hearts, and I think, for a lot of you, he lives on in your hearts and those memories. And for all of us, and especially me as his mom, I knew him better than anybody. And the way he left us is something that left us with a big hole and a lot of questions. And I know for me, a lot of guilt. And at the same time, knowing Corey, as I did and do, and for these past 14 years, I can hear him saying, Mom, get off your butt and do something good with this. He would not want us to be dwelling on the past and dwelling on guilt, but he would want us to be looking forward and looking at what we can do now for people. And so, as this tree and what you guys are saying in terms of the importance of kindness, what you guys are doing is helping. Closure is a really tricky word. There's no such thing. I don't think it's absolute closure, but just bringing this full cycle and it's redeeming and it's bringing something good. And I think that's what Corey would want. Knowing his heart, he was compassionate. And that picture on the front with his arm around the little boy, to me, that's Corey. that's his heart. And I'm so glad that Gene Osler gave me that picture. And having this tree here as a reminder is just a beautiful thing. And this, as Bunny was saying, this absolutely is the perfect place. This was Corey's happy place. And so thank you again. And again, I treasure each one of you, and I treasure the memories that we share together. And, something that, that I talk about the balloons. I know for me, I've had opportunities to talk to Corey, and say what I want to say to Corey. But I wanted to give everyone a chance today with the balloons, and these text cards here. If you want to send a message to him, to write something on here with your balloon, send it up. And I know he's here. I know that there's a life beyond this place, and I know he's here today, part of this, and enjoying it. And going, where's the ice cream? So, and then my final word is, Corey was a Star Trek, big time Star Trek fan. And so I think his words to you guys will be with Oscar.
Well, I, like everyone who has spoken so far, appreciate the thoughtfulness and caring that you as a class expressed for a classmate. This is really what it means to be part of a collegiate family, and you all are demonstrating that and living that out. There's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And there was another phrase I saw that said, he who plants a tree plants hope. Those two sayings cause us to reflect on the past, the present, and the future. And I was asked to give a blessing at this time as we've gathered. So if you would turn your hearts to prayer, we will pray. O God in heaven, God of grace, God of mercy, God of love, hear our prayer today. We stand in this moment, experiencing the present, reflecting on the past, and anticipating the future. In your sovereignty and in your plan, and always with your love, you lead us through life here on earth. You give us experiences and people in our lives to help us learn and grow. Some experiences are joyful, some are full of sorrow, in some we feel regret. But you, Lord, take hold of us in the present, now, and with your loving hand, bring us ever closer to you. We stand today reflecting on Corey's life. We remember the good times with smiles. We remember the hard times with tears. We stand today to celebrate his life and remember it by planting this tree, like Corey, a wondrous creation of your loving handiwork. A living plant firmly rooted in the ground and whose branches rise toward the heavens. We did not plant this tree 20 years ago, nor can we go back 20 years and write a new story. We plant this tree today, reflecting on the past, but looking forward to the future with hope, a hope that you alone put in our hearts. May that hope of finding peace in your arms be the heart of everyone gathered here today. We pray this in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ, in whom our hope rests. Amen.